There was a day that I nearly gave up on art. I thought it was all over. I wasn't sure what I was going to do and how I was going to proceed, if or not I was going to continue. And today I want to talk a little bit about that situation. I want to talk about the breaking point, about the hopelessness, about the feelings of inadequacy, about the worry that comes with pursuing something that you love. I want to talk about the spark, that tiny moment that helped me when I was in a really dark time. I want to talk about how people can have the same impact and how our own actions can all lead to helping us get out of those dark places. And thirdly, I want to talk about new meaning and how we continue once we're out of that little dark patch. I want to talk about cycles, and unfortunately, what I also want to talk about is that even though I said there was a day where I nearly gave up on art, I want to be very clear when I say that it wasn't just one day. Over the course of my career so far, it's been many days. And I think, unfortunately, the nature of being a creative person, particularly one who's in recovery, is that there will be many days where we feel like giving up. And so the overarching message of this video is that it's not going to be one day that nearly breaks you back, it's going to be many. But if we stick at it and we somehow get through those days, then there are rewards on the other side. So yeah, breaking point. Feelings of hopelessness, emptiness, feeling out of sync. That's something I feel a lot when I'm not really in a good headspace. And if that sounds a bit like you, then yeah, you're in the right place, because there have been many times over my own recovery journey where I've felt totally out of sync with myself and the world and other people. And at those times, it becomes really hard for me to understand what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to be, what action is going to get me out of that place. And really the purpose of this video, aside from hopefully just being a bit of comfort, if you are stuck in that place yourself, the purpose is really to talk about the little actions that we can take to get us out of those places and to keep us living in a space of power, I think, more than anything else. As someone who's in recovery, as a full-time artist, it's kind of this double-edged sword of like needing to balance both my recovery life and needing to balance my art career, as well as all the other things that I've got going on, And I think when I was at that breaking point, and this is a breaking point that, like I said, comes unfortunately a couple of times a year, probably, if not more, once every few months. Yeah. One common factor I've realised from being in these breaking points is that I'm not operating from a place of gratitude for what I've currently got. I'm operating from a place of lack about what I don't have, and I'm operating from a space of kind of despondency about, I don't have this, I'm not where I want to be. And that really is what leads me to these hopeless and empty places in the first place. And so the spark, which I mentioned before, and I find increasingly, over and over again, the thing that gets me out of this negative, self-loathing headspace is practicing gratitude, and not just practicing gratitude in a flippant way, but really trying to embody what it means to be a person full of gratitude for what they have. And secondly to that, I would say that helping others and giving away freely what you yourself want to receive is absolutely crucial, full stop, but particularly when we're not feeling like we're in good headspaces, particularly when we feel like giving up, whether it's giving up on our sobriety, our recovery, or whether it's giving up on our art, our creativity. Both of those things, the hopeless feelings really fester in dark spaces where we're not letting gratitude in. And it's really important to remember that. So yeah, the spark. Along the way, there are little tiny moments where I start to realise things differently again. And, just lately I've been in a place of, a very hopeless place. I've been in an empty place, that's for sure. And I'm 5.5 years into my recovery journey. And I'm also 3.5, probably 4 years into my full-time artist journey. And so it's important for me to talk about these things because I feel like sometimes people who've kind of got it going on or have quote unquote made it, not that I think I've made it, but to an outsider perhaps that's how it appears. It's important to acknowledge that I still end up in those places, you know. And so the place I was at most recently, I just wasn't feeling grateful for what I did have. I was out of sync, as I've mentioned, and I wasn't giving what I wanted to receive, you know, and that's a really important thing. I'd become very selfish in my energy and in the way that I put myself out there in the world, you know, and the things that I wanted to receive at that moment of time were success, were love, were recognition, were peace of mind, you know, and the truth is I wasn't giving those things out to other people. And I talk about it a lot. Service is really important to me and my well-being now, and so to so quickly forget that is the key to a lot of my problems is a problem in and of itself. But yeah, lately, the last sort of few days, I've come out of it again because, as always is the case, you know, some opportunity has presented itself to me when I've been asking for the right things, when I've been doing the right things, when I've been putting the right work in. And these are really important things to remember if you are a creative person in recovery, that we have to get out of self. We have to stop thinking that the world owes us something. We have to start giving to the world what we in turn want to receive. So yeah, I'm feeling good at the moment, which is nice because the last few weeks I've been feeling really, really out of sorts, you know. I've wanted to quit, you know, everything, pack it all in. I've been thinking about money and how I can cut some of my spending down so that I can continue renting my studio space and doing what I love full time. And, you know, just when I'm getting to that really tricky stage, the world has presented a really nice opportunity to me. So again, I'm back in the power, I'm back in gratitude, but you know, I've really made myself suffer a lot the last few weeks because I haven't been practicing gratitude and practicing service. And now I'm in this space of new meaning again, you know, and my art has become something different again. You know, the journey has shifted a little bit again. Again, I've forgotten that pain is how we grow. Pain is not always to punish us, it's to just change our trajectory a little bit. And so, you know, if you're feeling like you want to give up, you know, the best piece of advice I can give you is, it's really hard to say it, you know, and it kind of feels like a cop-out, but it is to not give up. You know, it's about, even when we're finding things really tricky, it's about reframing those tricky things in our head and trying to appreciate that they are for the best. Whatever they might be, they are for the best. You know, that's always been my experience, and I'm sure I'll be tested a bit further down the line with tragedy, you know, death in the family or whatever it might be. But for now, like, a lot of the things that still seem to ruin my day because I am an addict in recovery and I am an artist and my emotions are often all over the place. A lot of those little things that seem to ruin my day are well within my power to take control of and to reframe. So yeah, I feel like I'm at the start of a new season, looking forward to the back end of this year. And the one thing that I'm going to start thinking about over the next few weeks is like how this cycle really operates, because in my own experience of being, you know, in recovery and in creative circles, it's always this cycle. It comes and it goes. I feel like I'm in the power and then slowly I fall out of the power. I get myself in a lot of pain, you know, feeling like I want to abandon everything and just give up. And then I get myself back in the power again, slowly, you know, through action, through helping others, through being of service, through taking action instead of waiting for motivation to strike, particularly with my painting. You know, I've got this canvas here ready to go. I just painted over an old painting because I don't really like it. So I'm looking forward to getting started on that. So yeah, I'll just wrap up with that. You know, I've thought about giving up so many times over the last few years. And firstly, I want to say you're not alone if you feel like giving up. It's very normal to want to give up. In fact, not giving up when we want to give up is really what separates the people who are going to succeed and do well from those who unfortunately won't. And even the smallest spark can keep you going. So if you want some practical tips, a thing that I started doing over the last few weeks is sending a gratitude list to one of my friends every morning. you know, really thinking deeply about what I'm grateful for. And I would recommend that you start doing that. You know, I'm really massive on community and connecting with other like-minded people, and sending that gratitude list every morning has been really key to making me slowly realise what I have got in my life. And even when you feel like you haven't got a lot, there's always something to be grateful for. So yeah, if you've found this useful, if you found it inspiring, if you like what I've said, or if you don't like what I've said, leave me a comment and let me know. You know, I'm always open to suggestions. I've got my community, which I'll link below, called Creating Sobriety. There's a few of us in there now. It'd be nice to see some more faces moving forwards. And yeah, here's to the next video. Thanks for listening.